2024, the highly significant year of 2024, because this is the year that America decides what direction it's going to go in, right? Long about November, the American people will make a decision about whether we continue with one Biden disaster after another. We'll outline a few of them tonight. Or we change course and go back to what we used to be: a democracy, a country ruled by law, a republic with separation of powers, a non-dictatorial president, parents having the ultimate responsibility for children, a country that respected those who believed in God and mostly did believe in God, but at least all respected the right of someone to believe in God and not to be ridiculed or looked upon as some kind of a deplorable. We get a chance to do that in November. We get a chance to, in essence, return our way of life because it's been taken from us. We've gone very, very much in the direction of a fascist, communist economy, fascist government, particularly with regard to a lot of our courts, certainly our federal law enforcement, which has become a creature of the Biden regime as opposed to a servant of justice. So this was a year, I would say, of Biden disasters. Let's see if we can just name a few. You can go along with me, and maybe you can text in or let us know one you think I missed. I'd say the biggest one of all was the invasion that's ongoing and growing. And we'll be covering that in a moment, but that the proportions of it now are almost beyond explanation, beyond understanding. We haven't basically we've sort of taken in a whole new state, except these people know nothing of the United States. Most of them don't know our language. They don't know our traditions. They don't know what we stand for. They're coming here. Most of them are lying in order to come here with this asylum claim, which is been proven to be correct in only about 5% of the cases. Most of them, many of them are coming here really lured by what we have become, which is a dependency state. It isn't like the immigrants of 50 and 100 years ago, where you came here, you had to work. Nobody was, at least the government wasn't taking care of you. Maybe your church was, maybe your family was, maybe your compadres from the village or town that you came from. But the government wasn't taking care of you. You had to work, which created a work ethic that was the envy of the world. And now we have more jobs than we have people filling them. We went through a pandemic experience where people can make more money being on welfare than working. We did away with the wonderful reforms of workfare and other things that had gone a long way to restoring the work ethic, particularly in places where welfare and dependency had gone generation to generation. We've restored that and some. So it's impossible to think that all these people are coming here without being lured by that, particularly when states like California make a big thing out of they're going to give health care to illegals. New York has been doing it for some time. A mayor like Adams offers all kinds of incentives for people to come to the Uber sanctuary city, the biggest sanctuary city of them all, until he realizes, oh my goodness, what did I do? And now he's trying to figure out a way out of it and blaming it on Biden, who deserves the blame, but who's fighting back in the way that Biden knows best, which is focusing a criminal case on him. This is a almost now a frequently used weapon, political weapon of the Biden administration, if you don't like what's going on, or you want to get someone off balance, get them indicted by one of your crooked prosecutors. That's what's happening with Adams. You may think he deserves it because you don't like his policies. You may not. But in any event, nobody deserves that. Whether you like Adams or not, you do that, you don't like America. Well, Biden doesn't like America. Last interview with him, I think the only thing he likes is chocolate chip ice cream, if he knows what that is or can retain that. So the disasters, the invasion, Bidenomics, which of course is one big fat lie. When in real dollars, people are making less money now than they made 4 years ago by a goodly amount. You look at the prices of things that have gone up. Let me see. I've got a couple here. Prices are up 18% since Biden took office. But some of the key things like food is up 20%, and electricity is up 24%, and rent is up 19%. These are all real numbers. I mean, they're not, Biden can talk about Bidenomics all he wants. The woman who does the shopping or the man who does the shopping knows that he's paying a third more now than he was 4 years ago. He knows he's paying more money for food by 20%. He's paying 18% more rent or 19% more rent. He's paying more for electricity, almost 25% more for electricity. He's paying more for gasoline. Yes, the price of gasoline went down from the tremendous high it had reached under Biden, but it's still way higher than when Trump was in office, and is threatening to go up again with all that's going on in the Red Sea and the Gulf. We have also part of his disasters. We have two major wars that are going on that didn't exist when he came into office, both of which really happened because calculations were made that he's a coward and wouldn't use the American military and wouldn't even use all the help that he could give to someone to help them win the war, as Ukraine. I mean, he makes this big plea for arms for Ukraine, but he's never given them enough arms to win the war, which is the frustration of the American people. He seems to be setting us up for an endless war, a war without end. Amen. Have you heard a plan from Biden as to how we conclude this? No. All he wants is more money to give to them with no plan and no accounting for the money, which is, of course, highly irresponsible when you consider this is the second, or was considered to be very shortly, just a year or so ago, the most corrupt or second most corrupt country in the world. And Zelensky surely hasn't done anything to change that. I mean, he's a creature of one of the most crooked oligarchs in Mr. Kolomoisky. So he's done nothing to rein in Kolomoisky except have him come back from isolation. And he's done nothing about the knowledge and all of the information that he has in his files about crimes at the highest levels of our government and his government. The bribes given in the Burisma case were amounts of money that shocked the conscience, including in his own country. He's got people that he knows full well were selling out his country, and they just go free, and he hides it. He may or may not be a hero on the battlefield. That's for you to judge, but he sure as heck is not a completely honest president, in that he allows massive corruption charges to remain uninvestigated, not just in the United States, but involving his own people in Ukraine. We have the appeasement that's going on of Iran, which has created, 100 attacks by Iranian proxies and maybe 3-4 responses from the United States. The most significant one, actually, just yesterday. We have an educational system where the declines are dangerous and very, very significant in the areas of reading and math and the basic subjects. We have gender exploitation going on in the schools at a very, very young age. We have children at very, very tender ages being exposed to sex and being questioned about their assurance or security with the gender that they have or the sex they were giving at birth. And we have parents taking a secondary role, not just to the teachers, but to the state. You get that one? I mean, that's right out of the book of Karl Marx, isn't it? The ultimate decider will be the state. So a child can have basically can get mutilated, allow him or herself to get mutilated, and doesn't have to tell the parents. Good enough if the state says it's okay. What is that? That's right out of Karl Marx. It's right out of a dictatorship or even Nazism. Hitler wanted the children at 2 years old. That's exactly what Biden seems to want. And the parents don't matter. I mean, we remember Terry McAuliffe just a few years ago. If anything, he may have been perverse in what he said, but he was being very truthfully honest about the position of the Democratic Party, which is highly influenced by the money of the Communist Teachers Union, which has shown itself to be one of the biggest enemies of children that has ever existed. When you look at the performance, there's some statistics that just came in on charter schools in New York that I'll share with you. And then you have to say to yourself, I wonder why the teachers union fights them to the death, because the union doesn't give a damn about the children. So those are just a few of the disasters we have under Biden's disasters. We'll cover them all this year, and I'm sure they're going to get worse, unfortunately and tragically. And then, toward the end of the year, we got our big choice. And that's why you and I have to remain together. Those of you who agree that we have to restore America to a constitutional republic that's ruled by law. And if you agree with that, then I'd urge you to join us on X and hit subscription. Join our the America's Mayor Confidential programming, which will allow you to get in-depth discussion about issues that take us, to a point that we really can't do and don't have the time to do on a show like this, and also can focus on what we're going to need as we move closer and closer to the election of 2024. We want to be together like join. You'll be able to make suggestions. We'll be able to communicate. And we'll also keep giving you a tremendous amount of content so that you'll get to see behind the scenes, both practically and also behind the scenes of what these issues are really all about. It's also uncanny that this guy keeps breaking his records for doing tremendous damage to this country. I mean, if he tried harder, he couldn't do more damage to the country. So, I mean, we have a crisis, an invasion going on, the depths of which has never happened to us before. We have something like over 3 million people that came in illegally last year. Now you say, well, they were seeking asylum. Well, first of all, if they were seeking asylum, they had to claim that in the first country they entered, and they didn't. That would be Mexico in most cases. So just in that respect alone, they crossed our border illegally. Two, they could have been returned for having done that. And their case could be heard immediately because 95% of the cases turn out to be not supportable. In other words, the people are lying. And when you interview them, it becomes unbelievably apparent. Even the people that are being interviewed on the other side of the border right now, who are, marching toward America, have made it clear they're coming here for money because they want to improve their lives. That's fine. But that just isn't a reason to be allowed in the United States, because the whole world wants to come here for that. Except for the left-wing Democrats in this country, everybody else loves this country. All those people lining up to come here do. The left-wing Democrats, like Biden, seem to have a real bitterness and hatred for the United States. I don't think you would say we were systemically racist if you didn't have a bitterness and hatred for the United States. The U.S. Finally struck back on the Houthis. The Houthis are a Muslim extremist group in Yemen and they are really taking up the practices of the ancient practices of the barbary pirates. Now, are they in some kind of direct line and chain with the Muslim pirates of the 18th century? I don't know, but that I mean, a lot of their revenue is made by basically feeding on the shipping in the Red Sea, and we'll go over that when we come back after our first break. So I'll be able to show you on a map exactly what they're doing, because it makes it easier to understand this. Meanwhile, in the other war that Biden got us into in the sense that, I shouldn't say he got us into it. I don't believe these wars would have taken place had the Democrats not defrauded us and got Biden in the White House. And I'm going to stick to the defrauding of hiding the laptop, so we don't get into the whole issue of the stolen election, which when we do, we should do it just on its own and by itself, because the evidence is way more compelling than anyone has ever really allowed to be expressed or shown. So let's say it was a fraudulent election, because some of the most relevant information in the history of American presidential elections, the hard drive of the son of the president, who was acting as a bagman for him, as he says, for 30 years. And as Hunter Biden says, for 30 years, he's been giving his father half of his income. So, I mean, only a fool wouldn't realize that this was a bribery case. That was apparent 4 years ago to everyone but the crooked Democrats and those covering up for them. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. And we've got plenty to cover. And please go to X, formerly known as Twitter, hit subscribe so that we can communicate about the most important election of our lifetime, all of the intricacies of what you're going to need to know, or me, what I'm going to need to know from you. We'll be back very shortly.
Our device is something that you can plug into your television, and now you can use your television as a social television type experience. So in the Portal universe, you can watch your favorite content creators' videos, live streams, music. We also have TV subscriptions as well.
Subscriptions.
You can also
regular channels, all the sports.
Right. You can actually cut your cable from your cable subscription and get QUX TV on our QX TV boxes, and you can pay half the price that you're currently paying for your cable television subscription, and you can get all the best premium TV channels and more. I mean, it's really, there's so much on there, Rudy. I mean, you've seen it.
No, I've seen it, and I use it, and it's I mean, it's just exactly the same except for half the price. Plus, nobody is finding out what I'm watching, and that's not being reported to anybody.
Right, so you have absolute privacy using this device, which you don't have on other devices out there currently on the market.
This is absolutely great. QUX.TV is how you can find out about it. QUX.TV.
Use promo code Rudy to receive $30 off.
I don't think we need it.
We're back.
Well, my Christmas tree is now down, because you remember, those of you who watch every night or many nights, that we were doing shows in front of the Christmas tree. I really like that. I know it would be ridiculous to have a Christmas tree up all year, and I'd be the first to object to that. And it's sort of like making Christmas less special. I don't know about you, but I object to but making Christmas too early. I don't mind if you cheat a little before Thanksgiving. Well, or at least I've gotten used to it. I used to always think you really shouldn't celebrate Christmas until begin the Christmas preparations and decorations until Advent begins, until basically Thanksgiving is over. But if you want to go a week or 2 weeks before, fine. But starting in October. Now look at Hallmark. I mean, I like, believe it or not, those Hallmark shows. I don't watch all of them, but every once in a while I'll watch one to relax. One of their little romances that have sort of a pattern. I can now predict what's going to happen because I've watched, a number of them. But to have them on all year takes away I have to say, I don't like them as much as I used to when they came on just for Christmas. But in any event, you do celebrate Christmas until the 6th, until the Feast of the Kings, the Epiphany, when the Magi came and visited Jesus, and really gave us a sense that that this was a universal religion, meant not just for the Jewish people but for all people. So I hope during the holidays you got yourself your balance of nature, your fruits and your veggies. I will take mine shortly. Make sure, see, I took them down from the Christmas tree. I probably should take those things out of them at this point, but it makes it easier for me to hold them. So Israel is, so you go to balanceofnature.com, promo code Rudy, you get a 30% discount, which is quite substantial. And I think you're going to appreciate this right away. All the people that have that I know that have started to take it have begun feeling it right away, or right away meaning 2-3 days. So give it a shot. Israel has approved another humanitarian entry into Gaza through Cyprus. This is rather extraordinary. In the history of war, you generally don't allow, shipments into your enemy, particularly when you know that the UN is handling this, and this goes right to Hamas, or a good deal of it goes to Hamas. The UN agency is a creature of Hamas. It is completely anti-American. It is completely anti-Israel. It has been for 30 years. Trump was smart enough to stop giving them money. And of course, Biden supports them because he's pro-Iran and anti-Israel. I mean, I have to conclude that since he wants to give them so much money. I mean, it is totally silly for those people who say he's a big supporter of Israel. You just don't give billions of dollars to a country that wants to destroy Israel if you're a friend of Israel. I don't give money to an entity or a person who wants to kill a friend of mine, do I? I hope not. Well, then I'm surely not a friend. The lies and distortions that they will use are both endless and patently exposable, if that's a word, or able to be exposed. So now Israel has had a 16-year naval blockade, but now they're going to allow items to go to Cyprus, where the Israelis will get to inspect it to make sure it isn't armed, at least, and then it'll go through to Gaza, and you can be sure that the people of Gaza will get whatever scraps are left over after Hamas uses it for itself and for its biggest supporters. It looks like Putin has been sort of revived in the war in Ukraine. There's been sort of a back and forth that's gone on in the last couple of days. Might have missed it because of the holidays, but Ukraine made a major attack on about 4 or 5 days ago, a major attack on a Russian city, the biggest attack that Ukraine has done inside Russia. I'm trying to see. I think it was on Saturday. That was it, and it was the city of Belgorod, Russia, and they killed at least 24 people. The Ukrainians did, and Russians claim they killed children. But of course, that doesn't. Not that they should be blamed for it. I mean, I'm sure that the Ukrainians didn't want to kill children, but look at the difference in the coverage of Israel and Ukraine. So, first of all, they're not going to believe Russia, right? They're going to say Russia's lying, no children were killed. Well, Russia may be lying, but Hamas isn't. Hamas is more credible than Russia? No. In fact, if it's possible, probably less. But in any event, certainly they're about the same, right? But here it wasn't terrible that the Ukrainians killed children. Well, of course it wasn't terrible. They're doing it in their defense because there's an occupying power in their country that has killed so many of them. Well, as a result of that attack, the Ukrainian Air Force claims it downed 21 of 49 drones, and as I said, killed about 24 people in Russia, including 3 children. The Russians struck back on the weekend, and they made a massive retaliatory airstrike against Kharkov, the city they have been unable to capture. It's right outside of the roadway to Crimea. They wanted it as part of the roadway, and the very brave people of Kharkov have fought them off. And I really do think this is a question of real anger on the part of Putin that this city has resisted him. But it's also this whole city and the situation in the city is an example of Putin's excesses. This was a city that favored him way back in 2010, 11, 12, 13, until he attacked it in 14. And once he did and crippled the mayor, who's now dead, the city has become, even though many ethnic Russians there, they've become very anti-Putin. But they paid a big price the other day. At least the list that I have here is 3 people dead and 28 wounded. And if anything, those numbers are going to go up rather than down. But they didn't capture Kharkov. And I don't think they're going to be able to capture Kharkov. I think ultimately, if they negotiate based on the lines they have right now, Kharkov will remain a Ukrainian city. And if they try to give them to Russia, they'll fight. Also, it looks like that's where we're headed. There were leaks over the weekend that the United States and and European allies now don't support Bibi's goal of destroying Hamas or fighting the war for as long as it takes to destroy Hamas, but would like a negotiated settlement. And that means that neither side will get exactly what it wants, and both sides will be unhappy with the conclusion. I mean, the Russians will say, we want all of Ukraine. It belongs to us. It's historically ours. The Ukrainians will say, like hell, we're historically yours. Ukrainians would say, you're historically ours. We came before Russia.
Kiev Rus.
Kiev Rus, right. So it's an endless battle here that's 1,000 years old. And it's a shame that it breaks out in modern times and gets a couple 100,000 people killed. And it's a shame that we have a weak, feckless president like the idiot who's probably having ice cream right now somewhere in a beautiful, grand resort house that other people pay for, and he's going for nothing, and is probably proud of a deal in which he gave the guy tickets to a very much sought-after event, his first state dinner, I think, for the president of France. So that couple were given tickets that are priceless, and they give them the home and they charge other people. It's not as if this is like a home. This is a commercial establishment for these people. They rent it out and they get money for it. They have a set price for it, but cheapskate there doesn't pay it. I mean, it's amazing. The guy has stolen millions and millions of dollars, and he can't pay for his hotel room, which is what it is, a hotel resort. A lot of people pay for their own hotel resort, who are particularly who are millionaires. Gee, I mean, I guess he doesn't want to go into any of those offshore accounts that are well hidden. It's really very, very painful for me to watch this ex-staff of Trump's. Now, I don't know Elisa Farah Griffin, who was on ABC this week, and just basically generally attacked Trump for being I don't even think she made an allegation of any kind of harassment or anything like that. Just that he's a bad guy, and she supports Cassidy Hutchinson, who also says that she has all kinds of things. He jumped over the from the back seat to the front seat of the presidential limousine and hit one of the Secret Service agents and grabbed the wheel of the car. Now, I don't know the other two involved here. Sarah Matthews. And I don't know this other one who's named Elisa Farah Griffin, who were just put on ABC to generally complain about him. You're not a nice guy. You know how many people you could put on about Biden not being? I could go get people from 20 or 30 years ago, who would tell you what a prick he is. I mean, so they put them on, and now Cassidy Hutchinson is just. I know she's a liar. I know she's a liar because she's lying about me.
That's
completely lying about me, 100%, and the lie is absurd, and they print it anyway. It's absolutely absurd. I mean, there were many, many people there that could have observed this. None of them saw it. I would have to be totally out of my mind to do what she's saying. And yeah, I would be crazy, but I'm not out of my mind. That was a joke. I can see it now.
Look,
I can see it now. The New York Post tomorrow. Giuliani admits being crazy.
Says claims not to be out of mind. Says
Giuliani admits he's crazy. Admits he's crazy.
So
I mean, I love the Post goes after me because I'm a Trump supporter because they hate Trump now.
Yeah, well, yeah, I thought they were DeSantis supporters, but apparently
they switched to the slavery girl.
Yeah, they're Nikki now. I don't know.
They had like
Ron feels about that.
They had a completely disingenuous editorial defending her on it's perfectly okay not to know the causes of the Civil War. That's okay. I mean, if you don't know the causes of the Civil War,
who cares?
You can be president.
Isn't it amazing? There are people out there willing to just.
What is the cause of the Civil War? Oh, that's a very tough question.
That's what she said.
You're going to make a president? Well, look, we made a
Let's watch it.
Teddy, we made a Supreme Court justice who doesn't know what a woman is. So I guess we can make a president who doesn't know what the cause of the Civil War was. But let's watch her again because we got to make sure this one doesn't get to the White House. God Almighty, we had enough trouble with Bobo Jerko, who's there right now. He probably doesn't even know there was a Civil War because he was on the side of all those Ku Klux Klan senators.
Joe Biden's best friends in the Senate.
Yeah.
Were members of the Klan. Like, you can't make that up.
No, you can. And the fact that they cover it up.
Thank you.
Please, what was the cause?
Thank you.
Please, what was the cause of the United States Civil War?
Well, don't come with an easy question or anything. I mean, I think the cause of the Civil War was basically how government was going to run, the freedoms and what people could and couldn't do. What do you think the cause of the Civil War was? I'm sorry?
I'm not going to.
Of everyone understanding history correctly, what people could and could not do was not the cause of the Civil War. And freedom in general was not the cause of the Civil War. Freedom for the slaves was part of a cause of the Civil War. Unless you want to say one of the causes of the Civil War, was that the South wanted to be free to have slaves, which is, I think, what she was saying, because this is a woman that has been, doing this bullshit since she was governor of South Carolina. Now, I imagine that guy who asked that question, who sounded pretty conniving, I imagine he has history with her in South Carolina, where she was on both sides of this issue, including the one she takes a lot of credit for, which is taking down the Confederate flag, which she opposed until the church killing. And then the public opinion polls changed, and public opinion poll Nikki changed with it. But I mean, there should be a bright line test. If you don't know the cause of the Civil War, you can't be a president. And when you tell me that you don't, then you're either extraordinarily ignorant and poorly educated, or you're a conniving liar. In either case, gosh, we got both in the White House right now in one person. We don't need another one.
Do you remember her answer on Ukraine?
Well, that one got me, really got me, because I do know Ukraine really well. I've spent a lot of time there, and well, let's look at that, because it's really interesting, because you can look at DeSantis and Christie, and they want no part of this. They don't want to have to give up the names of these two places because they don't know it either. Yeah. But it's understandable that they don't. Look, you're not going to know all the counties in every country, even one as important as Ukraine. You're just not. But if you're the ambassador to the United Nations, number one, and if you want to give that country hundreds of millions and billions to fight for those provinces, and you're willing to see people die, you better know the name of the places you're fighting for, at least, unless you just spent your time at the UN,
Policy experience.
Let's watch.
Policy experience is not the same as foreign policy wisdom. I want everybody at home to note that I was the first person to say we need a reasonable peace deal in Ukraine. Now a lot of the neocons are quietly coming along to that position, with the exceptions of Nikki Haley and Joe Biden, who still support this, what I believe is pointless war in Ukraine. And I think those with foreign policy experience, one thing that Joe Biden and Nikki Haley have in common is that neither of them could even state for you 3 provinces in eastern Ukraine that they want to send our troops to actually fight for. Look at that. This is what I want people to understand. These people she has no idea what the hell the names of those provinces are, but she wants to send our sons and daughters and our troops and our military equipment to go fight it. So reject this myth that they've been selling you, that somebody had a cup of coffee stint at the UN and then makes $8 million after, has real foreign policy experience. It takes an outsider to see this through. Look at the blank expression. She doesn't know the names of the provinces that she wants to actually fight for.
Christie was resting on the podium, and DeSantis had his hand in his pocket. He had to take it out. But DeSantis is saying, don't come to me, babes. If they knew it, particularly Big Mouth Christie, they'd have just yelled out, Dinesh, I know, it's Dinesh.
That was good.
And it leads to Crimea. Oh, yeah, okay, Chris, easy. Well, Luhansk, it's Luhansk.
Right after that happened, I don't know if we didn't watch it, but I felt like it was the next day or the next morning. I come up to you and I said, Mayor, Nikki Haley, she couldn't answer this question.
No, I don't think
she
I
couldn't
saw
name
it live.
Yeah, and I didn't either. But I saw, the reaction. I come up to you, Mayor, she couldn't name one region of Ukraine. And then you said, not only, Ted, could I name them, I can give you directions on how to get there.
Yeah, I could have given her the short way, the long way, the dangerous way.
The safest way?
There is no safest way going in there right now, babes. Whoa. The Russian army is there.
That might be one of the last places in the world I'd want to be right now.
And that's the corridor that Russia wants, from Russia to Crimea. And that's the one that Ukraine twice in the last, in an effort to try to get more support for their war, they tried to crack a line, open a line there to separate part of the I call it the road to Crimea, which is a continuous piece of Ukraine leading from the Russian border down south to Crimea, which is really the area that Russia really wants. But they want a way to get there where they don't have to go through Ukraine. And now they have it. Now, they wanted a much bigger way to get there. They wanted Kharkov, the city that they're torturing right now. And I would say a pretty good chance when this all started, Putin thought he was going to take all of Ukraine. I don't think he expected the bold response and brave response of the Ukrainian people. You just got to be realistic about people. I told you before that it's one of the most crooked countries in the world. It is. That doesn't mean all of their people are crooked. It doesn't mean that most of their people are crooked. It means, like in our country, at the very top, we got a bunch of scoundrels. I mean, they can't have a guy that's more crooked than Biden. But they probably do, actually. I mean, Biden probably took anywhere between 50 and 100 million. They got people who took billions. Like Kolomoisky, the guy who made Zelensky, probably has stolen $7-8 billion. The guy that bribed the Bidens, Zlochevsky, people think he took about 20 billion. So we're really talking, and the president, Biden's friend, the president of Ukraine, got $100 million bribe. $100 million bribe. I mean, they talk big money there. But that doesn't mean the people are crooked. People are the victims here. The people of Ukraine are the victims. And those who want to give money to Ukraine without any accounting, just give it. Either they're extraordinarily naive or they're part of it because they know that money isn't getting to the people. It's like giving money to the Palestinians. It's going to go to Hamas first. It's going to go to the crooks first. They see that amount of cash. It's like a very, very hungry dog looking at food. No, I shouldn't even insult dogs in that way. I love dogs. There was an article by a guy named Brandon Holohan. I don't know Brandon, and I don't mean to pick a fight with him. I just think this article that he wrote, several paragraphs about Gotham's down but can't be counted out. Well, I agree with that. But his point was that New York City's been down before. And he said, and New York has recovered before. True also. In the 70s, New York became mired in high crime, high taxation, and high rents. And the Sun Belt blossomed. Companies skedaddled to the point where then Mayor Ed Koch, in frustration, called it a betrayal when American Airlines moved to Dallas in 78. But then something happened. Local leaders cut crime and balanced spending. Well, it was me. I was the local leader who did it. And the top tax rate fell from over 15% to 8%, combined with rents, and he goes on. And then, which was fine. I mean, I feel a little insulted that he didn't mention me, but that's okay. We can live without Brandon mentioning me. But the part where I think he doesn't understand this, and it'll need political leadership and a willingness to do the things that saved the city before. It doesn't just happen. Still, don't be surprised when it comes back swinging. There's absolutely nothing on the horizon that suggests that New York City is going to change. I'm sorry to say that. I think the example of Chicago is very, very telling, which is Chicago, had a choice for a new mayor and selected the most radical, the most left wing, the most irresponsible candidate they could select, even though they're in worse shape, at least on crime, than New York. I don't know if their economy is in worse shape or they have a bigger deficit, or I'm not sure of that. But there's no. And also, when I got elected, the city was very, very heavily Democrat, 5-1, but it's now about 6-7-1. And it's a different kind of Democrat. They're different kinds of. It's a very bitter group of Democrats. I got a lot of Democrats that voted for me. I had a Democrats for Giuliani. It was a real organization. I mean, real people, important people. I was endorsed by Ed Koch. I was endorsed by former Governor Kerry. That happening again. I mean, those were two men who put the city and state ahead of the Democrat Party. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back very shortly. And people should know that Michigan and Ted is all excited here. Ted comes from Michigan. Michigan defeated Alabama in overtime, 27-20, which means they move on to the championship game. We'll be back very shortly. Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. There's Rudy Giuliani back again with America's Mayor Live. As I said, Michigan defeated Alabama 27-20 in a very, very good game that went back and forth until the very end. Michigan scored first in overtime. They got a touchdown, and then in a pro game that would be over, right, Ted?
Yeah.
It would have been over when Michigan got the touchdown.
Yeah, touchdown would have ended it.
But you get a chance in college to answer, and believe it or not, Alabama got down to like the 5-yard line, and it was pretty much a goal line stand that won the game for them. They held them on 4 downs in the red zone.
That's right.
That's a big win.
That's a big win.
But I mean,
Alabama.
also a close game. Either team could have won a game like that. That was a very evenly matched football team. So now they have Washington, and who else coming up?
Texas.
Oh, and Texas. Well, that's what do you pick there, Ted?
Look, this Penix guy for Washington is good. Something I can't. It's hard to go against Texas in this game. Texas is maybe the most talented.
Well, it was hard to go against Alabama.
That's the thing. I'm not feeling confident. I mean, obviously I'm all Michigan.
Down on this one, even
I
though
just felt playing Alabama. Nick Saban, yeah. Come on. I would never bet against Nick Saban in January.
Well,
I guess if you did
today, you've made money, right?
Yeah. So I'm not as confident about Texas. I really thought Texas would beat Washington, but Washington has a quarterback that can play, and having a strong quarterback in college football could be all the difference. And obviously,
you're much more current with these things than I am. Do you know Libs of TikTok?
I do know Libs of TikTok.
They got banned on Facebook.
Not surprised.
So what are they? Are they?
It's a. Her name. It's a. Yeah.
Are they on our side or the other side?
Yeah. So really, it's an account, a Twitter account that, and I guess they took that and put it on other platforms. Facebook, Libs of TikTok. It's one woman. She's since come out. People know who she is. I forget how to say her name. But she's very much with us. She exposed liberals.
And she drives Ocasio-Cortez crazy.
Yeah.
Her name is I may be pronouncing it wrong, but Chaya Raichik.
Yep. Yeah, that's
Chaya. Chaya.
Yeah.
I mean, if I did it phonetically, I'd say Chaya.
I think that might be right.
Raychuk.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's something.
Raychuk, I've heard that pronunciation.
Yeah.
So that I'm not.
That's right. I've heard that too.
But AOC and she had like a confrontation.
Had beef.
AOC claimed that Raychuk lied when she made claims that Boston Children's Hospital was offering the surgeries. I assume they're talking about mutilating children surgeries. I really doubt that she was lying. They all want to do that. It's really disgusting.
Yeah.
And part of the Biden disasters in America is child mutilation kept from the parents.
And as we continue,
or child mutilation in general.
We have a big audience, Mayor. I want to get the chat going here. So comment below. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We always like to put it up on the board here.
They don't tell
what
you
city, state, or country, maybe.
They don't tell you what the offending thing that Libs of TikTok did to get them thrown off Facebook. It would be good to see if it was something that it violated the community standards. I really didn't know that Facebook had community standards. You got an awful lot of crap that's put on Facebook. They have community standards. What are their community standards? Anything right wing violates their community standards,
right?
I mean, you see a lot of crap on Facebook. Am I wrong?
So much. Facebook, yeah, exactly. And you got to wonder.
So what did TikTok? What did the Libs of TikTok do that was so bad? They don't tell you.
They don't tell you, yeah.
They don't tell you what it is that TikTok did. I mean, that the Libs of TikTok did to make fun. I get that. I mean, if they make fun of TikTok, shouldn't you make fun of TikTok? It's a Chinese surveillance organ, and it's also a lot of people, not just right wingers, believe it does tremendous damage to children to the point of suicides and stuff like that. And it definitely is run by a group of people that are answering to the Red Chinese. So, I mean, I can't be much they could have said about TikTok that's shocking.
Well, and it's really what she would do is expose these crazy liberals that would post stuff on TikTok.
Yeah.
And after some time, she created a big following. So she started getting, people started sending crazy stuff that they would see. So she kind of became so she gets all the best stuff.
She was showing people the kind of
crazy
horrible stuff they put on TikTok.
Yeah. What teachers are posting on there about what they're doing with their kids. Yeah.
Kids to chop off their genitals.
Yeah. Crazy.
Not let the parents.
And
know.
what made it so
there are school districts that have resolutions like that.
Yes.
That's not crazy.
Well, to me, it's crazy.
No, I know it's crazy, but it's not crazy to say that.
Of course not. No, you're right. That's what I'm saying.
People were actually doing it.
Yeah, people were doing these things, and it was so shocking. So that's the thing. All she was doing is just repeating what these crazy liberals put out there on the social media, which is the amazing part, right? She wasn't even adding anything, editorializing. Just here it is. This is what the libs on TikTok are posting, and people just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. At first, I'm like, okay, and then after a while, it's like, wow, this stuff's real. So she's made a name for herself by exposing the left.
Now, would you like a little demonstration about how the teachers union is one of the big enemies of American children and their education? In New York, they just got all the data comparing charter schools with public schools. Now, you should know what a charter school is. A charter school is a public school that is permitted to run like a private school, meaning they don't have to follow union rules. They don't have to have union. They can have union teachers, non-union teachers. They can do evaluations of teachers. They can hold teachers accountable. In the New York City school system, you can't do any of that. You can't have standards for teachers. I was told it's impossible to set benchmarks that evaluate good teachers and bad teachers. I was told that by the teachers, the Communist Teachers Union. And because they don't believe, the communists don't believe that people's performance should be measured. No matter what you do, you get paid and you don't have to even come to work. So these charter schools were set up so that parents could get together and support a charter school. And then teachers who wanted to come out of the school system could come and work for them. And they'd negotiate the salaries and Success Academy is the biggest group of charter schools in New York. The teachers union wants to destroy Success Academy, and so do all the Democrats want to destroy Success Academy. And we have a limit on the number of charter schools you can have in New York. It's about 250. It was extended a teeny bit by the governor after tremendous pressure, but I mean, not anywhere near the number. I mean, there are something like, I don't know the exact number. I remember one time when I was mayor, there was a scholarship program set up for children in the public schools. In like the 4th and 5th grade, we had 150,000 applications for like 10,000 scholarships from parents of children in public schools. And I was told the city can't support that. Not only could the city not support it, they wouldn't allow me to use city employees to give out applications for it. So I got volunteers to do it. Screw them. I always found a way around. Wasn't going to let them hurt my children, which is what they want to do. Now here are the results from the state of New York, which is, I mean, the governor is a big enemy of charter schools. He's not going to like this. This was compiled by the nonprofit New York City Charter School Center. And here's what it says. Black charter students outperformed their district school counterparts by 19 points. 59 testing proficient or better versus only 40% at the public schools in English. And 27% better in math, 61% to 34%. Hispanic charter school students did 16 points better in English and 25 points better in math. And in every other respect, the charter schools did much better than the public schools. And the New York State Legislature blocks new charter schools because the two leaders, Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie and Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins, are left-wing lunatics, and also they are really beholding to the Communist Teachers Union, and the Teachers Union wants no charter schools because they want no competition. And they don't give a damn if the children fall. I mean, we've gone to like 28 among countries in math, and in the 30s in languages, or vice versa. But they don't care. They don't care. It doesn't matter. Schools have nothing to do with the children. They're job protection systems for the bureaucrats, teachers, and then the large number of people who have to be employed because the union requires it, who don't teach. They evaluate teachers. And then you have to have evaluators that evaluate the evaluators of the teachers. And then you have super evaluators who evaluate the evaluators of the evaluators who evaluate the teacher. Then after you finish that, you've spent $36,000 a student, and you've gone down 10 positions on reading and on math. We're spending $36,000 per student compared to when I was mayor, when it was more like 12 or 14,000. And when I was mayor, we were in the top 10 and everything. And now we're in the bottom 20 and 30. But we spend 3 times more. Why? Because the money is wasted. And there's fantastic corruption. Fantastic, unbelievable corruption in the school system and in the city of New York. So thank you very, very much for being with us. And for those of you who are watching us on Newsmax, thank you very much for joining us. Happy New Year. And please keep watching. And we're gonna continue with about 15 more minutes of overtime, soccer time, because we enjoy it so much. But we'll sign off now for Newsmax and possibly several others, and all the rest of you just hang on, and we'll be right back, like in a minute or a second. Back. So I did notice Kim Jong-un claims that he is the target of an assassination plot being hatched by South Korea, and I guess the United States. And an official of the South Korean government seems to have, the defense minister, Shin Won-sik, says that both are considered options. Decapitation drills, taking out Kim is an option. South Korean Defense Minister Shin Won-sik told reporters during an interview on MBN television. While it's difficult to openly discuss decapitation, the U.S. Special Operation Force is conducting training, Shin said. This training is for aerial maneuvers, raiding an indoor mop-up. Kim cautioned that U.S. and South Korean policies were making war on the peninsula a realistic reality. So I don't know what the hell they're talking about this for. This is very scary that they would talk about this stuff. I will not comment on whether it's scary that they want to do such things. I'd have to think about that more. But I certainly think it's ridiculous to have this defense minister's got to have a pretty damn big mouth. Sounds like he should be working for us. What we leak like America leaks like crazy, particularly the Democrats. Here's something really interesting. A third grade teacher says he was fired from a Catholic elementary school in Long Island because someone sent the diocese, to be the Diocese of Rock-Vicento, pictures of him kissing his boyfriend. He's a 26-year-old. He's from Maria Regina School in Seaford. And he is saying that this is very unfair because he's being fired just for being gay. And given the position of the Pope, I don't know. I mean, before the Pope took the position he took on gay rights and whatever, I would say that you kind of expect this from a I wouldn't even say Orthodox Catholic background, from just a normal Catholic background. But with the Pope's position, you would have thought something like this loosened up a little. His point is that that he should be treated like a heterosexual. If there was a picture of a heterosexual kissing his girlfriend, he wouldn't be fired. Now, this is not a government school. It's a Catholic school. They have the right to do whatever they want, right? They have their own code of morals, and they're entitled to have a different code of morals than other religions or the state. On the other hand, it seems like the parents there, maybe they're not all speaking up, but the parents there had like a bit of a protest in front of St. Agnes Cathedral in support of this teacher. But the diocese and the school have not put out their side of the story. So we'll be interested in seeing what that is. This is an extraordinarily complex question. I mean, for society, but it's particularly complex for Catholics because it would, and I may be wrong. I'd have to go back and read my moral theology more, but I don't think that the condition or the state of being homosexual is a sin. Now, this can sound very strange, but if you think about it, it's not so strange for the Catholic Church. Acting out would be a sin. And it would be a sin not because it's homosexuality. It would be a sin because in Catholic dogma, and it isn't even so strict in Catholic dogma, sex outside of marriage is a sin. No matter if it's homosexual or heterosexual sex, it's a sin. Now, I don't think they're going to fire a teacher in a Catholic. I don't think they're going to fire a teacher in a Catholic school who is 26 or 30 years old and is living with a woman or vice versa. I don't think. But technically, that would be a sin. And but it's between that person and their confessor and God. But I may be wrong. I may be wrong about this. We're going to see if maybe we'll get Father Pavone or someone else on and talk about this. I really have wanted to get him on to also to get a little more wisdom on what the heck's going on with the Pope. And I'm much more concerned not with his teachings on, you know, how you should act toward LGBTQT plus or whatever, if I got that right.
Hey, 2 plus 2. I think there's like 2 pluses or 2 twos or something in there.
Well, they keep coming up with genders, new ones every day. It's like, you know, I still, when you get beyond 2, I have trouble. But at 58, it gets to be kind of really crazy. But, you know, live and let live, I think. And I'm not the Pope, so I don't have to make judgments like that. But I really would like to know what's going on with him and communism, because I don't like his flirting around with the communists, and I get the feeling that he lets the Red Chinese pick bishops. I would think that. I think that gets St. Peter mad. I think. So I was going to show you who and what the Houthis are and what they're doing. The Houthis are one of the larger Islamic terrorist groups. They are Shia, which means they align really well with Iran, rather than Sunni, which means you would align with Saudi Arabia. Although that's not 100% true, by the way. I mean, there are exceptions to that. And they are financed to a very, very large extent, and they are truly a proxy of Iran. I don't think they move without Iranian direction. And I don't think they really can accomplish much without Iranian money. That money that Biden gave to Iran in cash, some of that would have gone to the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, because they give about half their budget to them. Or the money that Biden has made available to them, not just the last $6 billion, but the money he's made available since he's come in office. Right on the first day, he lifted a lot of the sanctions. And then also, they don't enforce the sanctions. Trump started pressuring them. He was in office only about 6 weeks and they were under pressure. And all he was doing at that point was enforcing the sanctions that theoretically Obama, who was very partial to Iran, he had put up these sanctions but never really enforced them. So just by enforcing what was on the books, he was crushing Iran. Then he put many, many more sanctions on Iran. They don't want him back in office. You can imagine that. And as I think I've laid out both on my special report on Rudy Giuliani Confidential and in some of our discussions, Iran is going to have to decide, you know, does it make its big move before Mr. Appeasement is out of office, because they may get just the opposite of that for the 4 years after that. But they may be willing to wait that out. I mean, they're like the Chinese, they're very, very patient. And the Chinese have very much that same dilemma with Taiwan. So we'll have to see what happens. But this, what's going on here with the Houthis is they've got obviously a large number of drones that they've gotten from Iran, and they've been flying the drones. They're south of Saudi Arabia, so they got a fairly long trip up the Red Sea to the Suez Canal, and that would take them in the direction of South Israel. So they're sending drones up there, saying that they're going after Israel, but to a very large extent going after ships, so that they can cut off shipping in the Suez Canal. Now, they haven't done that. They've cut it down by about 25%. We have put together a international Navy and haven't done very much up until yesterday, when the U.S. Navy helicopters sank 3 Houthi boats and killed a large number of the crew. This is the first time we've had any major group of killings. They've been attacking us. They've attacked us over 100 times. I believe this doesn't end until we attack Iran. And I think it would be such a shock to Iran that Mr. Wussy Pussy attacked them, that it would, I don't know if they'd survive. But whatever we're doing is not going to stop them from trying to hit these boats. This was, we took out 3 of their boats who were trying to attack a commercial vessel. And in the course of doing that, we killed some of their military, I think, and who knows, maybe some Iranians with that. But the Houthis are in Yemen, and they are the terrorist force, also the dictatorial force that controls Yemen, in opposition to Saudi Arabia, which is their neighbor right to the north. They're right below. They're on the Saudi Arabian Peninsula and the southernmost portion of the Saudi Arabian Peninsula. And it's been, generations of bad blood between them and Saudi Arabia. And also they have an indigenous Shia population. So that would make them antagonistic of Saudi Arabia also, which is Sunni, and very partial and able to ally with Iran. And they're part of Iran attempting to put together an axis of 4 or 5 Arab countries that answer to them. So they have an empire, the Islamic Empire. And both of them are, insane interpretation of the Muslim religion, or let's call it excessive, taking all the bad points and exaggerating them. Their slogan, by the way, this is the slogan of the Shia Islamic sect, which is what it is. God is the greatest. Death to America. Death to Israel. A curse upon the Jews. Victory to Islam. Nice, huh? This is what our kids are demonstrating for. God is the greatest. There's some God they got here. Death to America. Death to Israel. A curse upon the Jews. Victory to Islam. Hard to stomach all this, isn't it? Really, really hard. Well, we're getting ready for the primary. We're getting ready for the Iowa caucus and the New Hampshire primary. Maybe tomorrow night we'll devote some time to talking about both and our plans to get you as much information about both as we can. Right now, Trump has a comfortable lead in both. Nikki Haley reduced his lead in New Hampshire, but on the Real Clear Politics average, it's still 21%, but it had been higher. And in one poll, it's down to 14%. Some people were going around saying 4%. There is no such poll at 4%. 14% is the closest that Nikki Haley has gotten. Now, those polls were taken before she put her foot in her mouth with slavery. And she's in a state that has a fairly conservative view on that. I mean, they were one of the biggest contributors to the Union Army maybe the biggest per capita losses in the Union Army, and critical to winning a number of the battles in the Civil War, and abolitionists almost from day one. So it's the wrong place to not know that slavery was one of the causes, or the cause, main cause of the Civil War, or to be uncomfortable with even mentioning slavery. We'll see what happens to her standing. I'm sure they'd also be sensitive to her inability to name the Ukrainian cities that she wants people to die for, because they are a very astute voting bloc, because they go through these primaries every 4 years. It's almost like getting a graduate degree in politics. They're all very, very knowledgeable and opinionated, of course, which happens in politics, right? So looks like they've discounted DeSantis. Now, had he remained more viable, this would have been an excellent opportunity for him to overtake her and lodge himself in as second. But I don't think he has any juice left. You know, when people discount you, they discount you, and maybe he can come back. Maybe he can come back 4 years from now. I don't know that he can come back right in the middle here. We'll see. Something is going to happen as a result of these comments that she made. And we haven't seen a poll. We haven't seen a poll. You know, we haven't seen a poll since the famous comments. So we'll have to see. Well, we're going to take our leave of you for tonight. We're going to ask you to please, if you can, tune in to WABCRadio.com tomorrow at 3, back here at 8 tomorrow night. And don't forget, hit subscribe on X, formerly known as Twitter. And for $10, you'll get all of our extra programming. And we'll try to put something else on, particularly given this border situation, which is so bad. Oh, really bad. Well, God bless the people of Israel. God bless the people of the United States. Happy 2024. Please, God, make it work out right. God bless America. Our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common